Mixed martial arts (MMA) has grown in popularity over the years, emerging from a niche subculture to a global phenomenon. Fighters step into the octagon, risking their lives, health, and futures every time they compete. At its core, MMA is a brutal sport that pushes the human body to its absolute limits. But what makes it stand out as perhaps the most dangerous sport on earth isn't just the intensity or the risks involved. It's the raw, unforgiving nature of the competition, the physical and psychological toll it takes, and the devastating consequences that often follow. MMA combines striking and grappling from a variety of martial arts, including boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and Muay Thai. This blend of disciplines creates an environment where a fighter must be prepared to handle every type of attack: punches, kicks, elbows, knees, submissions, and takedowns. The unpredictability of the sport is one of its defining features. Unlike traditional boxing, where fighters focus primarily on punches, or wrestling, where the primary objective is to control the opponent through grappling, MMA requires practitioners to be well-rounded across all areas. This forces fighters to constantly adapt, evolve, and face a wide array of dangers. One of the most immediate dangers in MMA is the sheer force of the strikes. In no other sport do athletes use their fists, feet, elbows, and knees in such a direct and calculated way to inflict damage. Punches to the head can cause concussions, and repeated blows can lead to long-term brain damage, including conditions like chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE. The damage to the head is one of the most concerning aspects of MMA, as it can result in immediate knockouts or contribute to irreversible cognitive decline. Fighters rarely walk away from an MMA career without some form of long-lasting neurological impact. The human body is incredibly resilient, but in MMA, its limits are often tested to their breaking points. Submissions are another dangerous aspect of the sport. A fighter might be choked unconscious, or their limbs might be put under extreme pressure in joint locks. Submissions don't always end quickly. In fact, fighters can sometimes be forced to tap out to avoid serious injury. However, even when they tap, the damage might have already been done. For example, an arm that's hyperextended in a joint lock can take weeks or even months to heal, and in some cases, it can lead to permanent injury. Similarly, a choke can cause brain damage or result in a fighter losing consciousness temporarily, both of which carry long-term risks. The weight cut is another danger specific to MMA. Fighters often lose massive amounts of weight in a short period of time to qualify for a particular weight class. This can involve cutting up to 20 or 30 pounds in a matter of days, which places tremendous strain on the body. Dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and organ failure are all risks associated with extreme weight cuts, and in some cases, these cuts have even led to death. After the weigh-in, fighters then have to rehydrate and regain their strength before stepping into the octagon, an act that itself is highly dangerous. The physical toll of the weight-cutting process, combined with the intense combat in the ring, can have devastating effects on a fighter's long-term health. Unlike other sports, MMA doesn't have a clear-cut season structure, and fighters often have to face multiple opponents in short spans of time. This constant cycle of training, fighting, and recovery is grueling. The training process itself is incredibly taxing. Fighters spend hours in the gym every day, subjecting themselves to strenuous workouts, sparring sessions, and practice matches. They push their bodies through intense drills, putting their joints, muscles, and bones under constant stress. Over time, the cumulative wear and tear on a fighter's body becomes difficult to recover from. Many MMA fighters have reported suffering from long-term chronic pain, joint issues, and muscle injuries that persist long after their careers are over. Beyond the physical dangers, there's also the psychological toll that comes with competing at the highest level. Fighters often deal with extreme stress, anxiety, and depression. The pressure to perform, combined with the constant threat of injury, can lead to mental health issues. The fear of losing, coupled with the intense media scrutiny and the financial implications of a poor performance, can create a toxic mental environment. Fighters often deal with isolation, the fear of failure, and a sense of instability as they face the brutal realities of the sport. Addiction to the sport is another issue. While MMA fighters may retire from the ring, many can't fully leave the lifestyle behind. The adrenaline rush of competition, the physicality, and the fame often lead fighters to continue to seek out that high in other ways. Post-retirement, some struggle with identity crises and find themselves dealing with substance abuse or other behavioral issues. This vicious cycle of addiction and self-doubt isn't uncommon among those who've spent years training their bodies to fight at the highest levels. Despite all of these dangers, the sport continues to draw athletes from all corners of the world. The drive to be the best, the desire for fame, and the lure of financial gain all play a role in attracting fighters to MMA. However, for those who are willing to pay the price, the risk is ever present. Fighters enter the octagon knowing full well the damage they might suffer, not only in the short term, but in the long term as well. The sport is brutal, but the rewards are undeniable. Adulation from fans, respect from peers, and for some, a chance to make history. But even with the best safety protocols in place, MMA cannot escape the fact that it is, by nature, an incredibly dangerous sport. The risk of injury, brain trauma, and long-term health complications are all part of the equation. Whether the sport will ever become safer is unclear, but one thing is certain. MMA demands a level of courage, resilience, and toughness that few other sports can match. It is this raw, unrelenting demand that makes MMA stand out as one of the most dangerous sports on earth.